You are my beloved Son, with you I am well pleased. We have heard this before, haven't we? If you've been going to church longer than 1 year, you have heard this before. As a matter of fact, now that Christmas season is over, every time you will hear the gospel or my sermon or another prayer or hymn, you may scratch your head and think to yourself, I've heard this before. It's not breaking news anymore. It all sounds so familiar. We have heard the stories of the gospel over and over again. We have said the same prayers and sang the same hymns over and over again. There is nothing new or exciting going on. Well, at least not inside the church. When you turn on your TV news station, there is always something apocalyptic every other day happening. But a few years ago, I read, not in St. Louis, before I came to St. Louis, I read a letter to the editor in a small town newspaper from someone who clearly was going through a midlife crisis. In that letter, the man says, "Going to church makes no sense to me anymore. I've been attending every Sunday for last 30 years. I have said the same prayers, listened to the same sermons, sang the same hymns, and nothing has changed in my life. For the life of me, I cannot recall a single sermon out of these 1,500 sermons I have heard in the 30 years of my regular attendance. Not a single one. Don't go to church anymore. It makes no sense. It makes no difference." Of course, to the excitement of the editor of the local newspaper, there were many more letters written in response to this letter. One of the letters, as a response, brought forth a great point. It said, "I have been married to the same woman for the last 30 years, and I have heard the same stories and the same jokes for the last 30 years. And she has fed me at least 32,000 home-cooked meals for the last 30 years. For the life of me, I can't recall a single menu of entire meal that my wife has fed me in the last 30 years. But I know that much, that has not it been for those meals, I would not be able, I would not have strength to go to work every day, to perform my duties as breadwinner, husband, and father. So even though I don't remember a single menu item of her 32,000 meals, I'm grateful for each one of them. Without them, I would be physically dead." Likewise, the letter continued, "Without all these boring sermons, all these boring same old hymns and prayers, I would be spiritually dead." So yes, unfortunately, yours truly or any other priests will not come with some spectacular new gospel section to keep you entertained, or with a news story that will be breaking news on CNN tomorrow morning. We keep retelling the same stories, especially now that we move back to the so-called ordinary time. We will hear the same Gospels, we'll eat the same piece of bread every time you come here, we'll drink a sip of the same wine that you are so familiar with. There will be no major changes. The same sacraments will be offered, the same prayers will be said, the same hymns will be sang. And yet, even though I bet you can't recall any of my sermons, all these sermons and prayers do feed us. And as today we celebrate the Sunday of Lord's baptism, I want us to renew our commitment that started at the day of our baptism. Our Christian commitment is not necessarily to something extraordinary, spectacular, entertaining, fabulous, but that commitment of faith that started in your life when you were baptized was to follow the simple steps of Jesus. And it starts with one fundamental truth. Just like Jesus, you are beloved. You are God's beloved child. Yes, you have heard this before, probably 13,000 times. But today I want you to hear it again. God loves you. You are truly beloved. Not because you did something, not because you deserve something, but just because. Just because God loves you as God has loved Jesus and every single one of us. It's not extraordinary or spectacular, but it is fabulous to be loved. If you have ever fallen in love, you know all those butterflies flying around your stomach? This is the commitment that our faith offers us. The baptism of Jesus, if you look at the Gospels, happens on the first or second page. Jesus hears, "You are my beloved child with whom I am well pleased," not after he healed many people or fed 5,000 hungry people, but before he did anything. God's love is not given to you after you prove yourself. God's love is not given to us after we deserve it, after we work hard and show God, "Look, I've been a good Christian all my life." Jesus hears these words at the very beginning of his public life and ministry, before he does anything. Before you do anything good, hear today one more time, for 37,000th time, you are God's beloved child. And as you come to communion today, I'll be standing right where I'm standing now. After you receive bread, please dip your hand in the holy water. And as you cross yourself, remind yourself one more time that you are loved as you are. Before you do anything good or right, you are truly God's beloved child. And be grateful for all those boring hymns, prayers, and sermons, for they keep us spiritually alive. Amen.